Hi Yogini, welcome back to the Yoga Clinic. Thank you so much for being here. Today I have a yin practice for you. We are not going to need any props, just a comfortable place to lay your body down, some comfortable clothes. So we're going to start off in a non-traditional yin posture, and then we'll move into more familiar yin poses, just because I really like this exercise. So we're going to start on hands and knees in a tabletop. And we'll take the right hand behind the right ear. We're going to open, actually, I'm going to mirror you. So right hand behind the right ear. And we're going to open the chest up towards the sky. Point the elbow up as high as you can to the sky. Press down into your opposing hand. Press down into your knees, keeping the hips square. And then bringing elbow to elbow. Exhale. Inhale. Twisting open, leaning your head back. And then exhale. Again. And then this time as you exhale, we're going to thread the needle. So the right arm reaches underneath the left, bringing the right ear down. You can stretch your left arm forward if you want, maybe your left leg back. Detoxifying the internal organs and opening up through the thoracic spine, cervical spine. And we'll reverse the steps. So not holding as long as a traditional yin posture would be. Stretching back open across the collarbones. And then hand down, and we'll just switch sides. Left elbow reaches up, left fingers behind left ear, and then exhale, elbow to elbow. So finding the full rotation of our thoracic spine here. Moving from mobility, which is our natural range of motion, into flexibility, where we apply pressure to get ourselves deeper into postures. Good, last one, inhale. Open, stretch, and then exhale, thread the needle. Bring your ear down. An option to deepen the posture, extending one limb, two limbs. And reversing the steps. Okay, so on to yin. We're going to start with dragon pose. So we'll step the left foot to the top of the mat, and we'll walk the right leg back. I like to have my hands inside of my bent knee leg, but there's also the option to keep the hands to either side. The reason I don't like this as much is because I'm quite open in the hips, and so my chest starts to hit the thigh and I can't go as deep as I'd like. So I like to take the leg outside, knowing that this is going to take the stretch more into the lateral leg. Good, and then you can stay upright here. You can lift the back knee. This is more active. Or you can drop down onto forearms, maybe hands on a block if you can't quite get your forearms down. Good, so if you've ever practiced yin before, you know that we hold these postures for a lot longer, anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. And so it becomes a much more contemplative practice, working with the stiffer tissues, the connective tissues, which take much longer to open. And you might be thinking to yourself about now that this is not easy, you might not feel comfortable. So the difference between yin yoga and restorative is that there is muscular action involved in yin yoga. In restorative, we tend to use a lot of props so that we can remove any muscular activation, and it becomes more of like a restorative rest. Whereas yin is restful, but it's not rest. So discomfort is possible. What we don't want is pain. So we're constantly walking up to the edge, feeling around in the body to make sure that we don't ever pass our edge. And over time, we might find that the edge shifts as we hold the posture, and these tissues begin to, they begin to creep on a molecular level. And so the edge might shift. I might be up here for minutes 1 and 2, and then I lose the sensation. And so then I have to come down onto my forearms to feel that edge again. And know that while fidgeting is generally discouraged, we don't want pain. So finding the expression of the posture that works for your body, that's the most beneficial. And that can mean that you change the shape slightly as you go. We're going to be here for another few moments. And then from this dragon, we're going to move to winged dragon. Or in Iyengar, it's more, it's twisted lizard. So let's take an inhale. Exhale. And then we'll move into our winged dragon. So if your hands aren't already inside your left foot, please put them there. Then we're going to turn the left toes out towards the upper left corner of the mat, and then roll onto the pinky side edge of the left foot. Good, now you can stay there. So you'll feel this more in the IT band and gluteus medius rather than hamstring. You can stay right here. I'm going to move into the twisted variation. You can take the right hand or right forearm under your face. And then we'll sweep the left arm behind. You can rest it on the left leg or take it all the way to rest it on the back of the right leg. Again, you can use a block underneath your bottom arm to just bring the floor a little closer, especially if you're in between hand and forearm variation. For yin postures, we're not so worried about the spine staying straight. I'm not worried about all the joints being aligned to protect them, because indeed we're working with joints and this connective tissue that normally in power classes we don't want to stress at all. So you can let the ear hang, the head hang. You can let the shoulders round. Let's take another cycle of breath here. And then we'll slowly transition, reversing the steps, untwisting, coming back onto the sole of the foot, and then stepping back into tabletop. Any counter movements that feel good for your body, please take. I suggest cat and cow, focusing on the pelvis. And from here you can sway the hips side to side, incorporate additional movement into the cat-cow. Maybe forward and back. Good, we're gonna move on to the other side. Dragon pose, stepping the right foot either inside or outside of the hands. And walking your back knee back. So I started an active dragon, lifting the back knee, so that's how I'm gonna start here. Knowing that the two sides can be different, and in yin, I always advocate for doing what feels best for the given side. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. in Yin Yoga. Yin is a practice in patience. So right now I can feel that the sun has come out and I am no longer shaded. But I'm going to stay and breathe through this discomfort as long as I don't feel myself getting sunburnt. Letting all sensation be there, be valid. Not rushing towards more pleasure or away from pain. Let's hang here for another 30 seconds. If the mind has wandered, just gently guiding it back to the body and letting the body be our anchor to the present. Watching the sensations rise and fall. On your next inhale, we'll slowly begin to transition. Finding our twisted dragon, winged dragon to perhaps twisted. So both hands inside the right foot, we'll point the toes out to the right and then roll onto the right pinky side edge. And then we'll begin to, if you like, twist towards our bent knee, letting the left side body drop, keeping the gaze soft. Returning to the breath. And we'll slowly transition. Take your time. Coming into table. Again, any counter movements. Okay, so from here we're going to move into double pigeon. So we'll start with the left leg on the bottom, right leg on top. And now for some of us, this top leg is going to be sticking up like this. And so an easier way to get into this posture is to spread the knees apart and then bring the feet farther away from you. Or spread the knees apart, bring the feet closer to you. And that's going to let the hips drop open. And so your pose might look a little different than mine. If you can stack your shins, then we can fold forward. So in any variation that you decide to take, the sensation is on the outer hips, which can be quite tight in a lot of us. Our hip capsule has a lot of fascial adhesions that can be quite tight because a lot of us store emotional stress in our hips. And so we'll just be very gentle with the body, working within our means. Again, even if your heels are in and you're in more of like a crisscross position, just working with gravity to let the knees open, the hips open. And then you can use any props you like underneath your head to assist in the fold. If there's pain in the knee, I recommend flexing the feet, and that's going to keep the knee from twisting. Again, perfectly fine for the back to round here. Finding that place of quiet inside of you. Resting in that space even when there is external commotion or discomfort. Releasing any gripping, any tension, resisting, and just softening into that quiet place. Making space for the breath. Making space for ease. Let's stay here for another few breaths. And then when you're ready, we'll just build our way out of the posture. After folded, coming onto fingertips and walking your way back up to sit. We'll take the hands behind the back, uncross the legs, and find some windshield wipers, knees in and out, in and out. And then we'll switch sides. The left leg will be on bottom, left leg on top. And then notice if there's difference in flexibility and sensation on the two sides, and give your body what it needs on the given side. So you might be a little less flexible and you might need to open the knees wider apart, maybe close the angle of the knees. And then I invite you to fold forward if that's calling to you. Returning to the breath, whatever the mind has latched onto, just creating some space for the present. Releasing its grip on whatever it has and opening back up. Breathing deeply. Following the breath as it comes in, as it turns into the breath out. And as the out breath turns back into the in breath. Let's take 2 more cycles. Let's not rush it. With the utmost of patience, we'll begin to build our way up to our fingertips, and then walking in and taking the hands behind the back, 2 far into our windshield wipers. Good. So we are going to do some front body opening. And these will be our last 2 postures, and then we'll find Shavasana. So this is reclined half hero's pose in Iyengar, or reclined half saddle, it's called in Yin. So we'll start by bending the left knee back. Now I like to kind of move the left calf flesh out of the way so that my left sitting bone can ground. And you'll notice this is bringing our left femur almost into internal rotation. So we did a lot of external rotation. We're now doing internal rotation. We did a lot of hip flexion. We're now going to extend. This is going to be a back bend for most of us. So the knees don't have to touch. We're going to begin to walk the hands back. Now, if the sensation in either the top of the knee, the front of the ankle, or anywhere else is too intense, low back maybe, we'll just stay sitting upright. And you can even sit up on a block. And that's going to take some of this compression out of the knee and out of the ankle. If you're feeling nice and open, we can begin to walk back maybe onto forearms. And then you'll see here that this is back bending. And whenever we're back bending, we want to keep the hips in line so that there's symmetrical force on our spinal column. So there's a tendency here for the bent knee leg to lift. Let's try to ground the left sitting bone down. And then if your body's inviting you to do so, you can recline all the way. Maybe resting a hand on the belly and one on the heart. Unclench your back teeth. You can gently scan the body and notice anywhere that you are clenching. And let this be a clue to what your normal habits are of holding stress, whether it's in the hips, the face, the shoulders. And so that when we feel ourselves tense in traffic or stressed about something, we can check in with those spots and just relax and bring some more ease into the body. Let's take one more cycle of breath here, no rush. And when that comes to an end, we'll reverse the steps coming onto forearms and then hands. And we'll roll over onto the right side to sweep the left leg forward. Whoa, that's intense. You can point and flex the foot. For me, it just feels nice to have my leg extended. And then we'll move on to the other side. So we're rolling onto the left side to sweep the right leg behind you, right foot behind you, and then coming to sit back squarely on the sitting bones if possible. You can let the knees widen slightly, and then checking with the body, very slowly beginning to move backwards, and stopping anywhere that feels like you found your sensation, you found your edge. Knowing that you can always go deeper. You can let that extended leg just flop out. Again, checking in, finding if you are clenching, tensing, tightening. What can you relax? Let's take 2 more cycles of breath here, nice and slow, resisting the urge to rush. Patience is a muscle that we must work out like anything else so it gets stronger, so that our instinct is not to rush, but to slow down. Good. We're going to build ourselves up nice and slow. I like to, if you're reclined, I like to slide my hands underneath my butt, palms down, and that lets me get my elbows under so I can prop myself up. And then building my way up to sit. We'll roll onto the left and extend the right leg. Oh boy. Okay, we'll just pedal out the knees a little bit, flexing the feet. And then making our way onto our backs. Let's just take a few moments in Apanasana, gathering the knees into the chest and rocking from side to side, letting the sides of the neck be long. And we'll find our final rest. For me, my final rest is Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet together, knees wide, or you might take a traditional Shavasana shape. I'm going to hang out with you in Shavasana, so no rush. Letting the body settle down. Thank you, friends, for being here. It means a lot that you show up in community, our little virtual online shala here. I really appreciate your presence. If you have any comments for me, feel free to leave them, or like the video if you liked it, or don't like it if you didn't. And I hope to see you back on the mat sometime very soon. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. May your obstacles be removed. Namaste.